Can HBAR Hedera Hashgraph reach $1 or more this cycle? That's going to require a little bit of a long answer here, and I will show you guys why on the charts, because there's going to be quite a bit of resistance for HBAR to get through, to get over to $1, okay? And I will show you guys what that resistance is. Also, has the crypto market bottomed since yesterday's dump? Since Bitcoin, the driver of this market, went down to as low as about 98,000. Has it bottomed? I'm going to show you guys some signals on why I think it has and what that could mean for the altcoin markets. Because if Bitcoin pumps, that is good for the altcoins, and if it's dumping, that's very bad for the altcoins, as you guys have seen the bloodbath yesterday. All right, we're going to get into some major crypto news. Before diving into the charts, I'll give you guys my instant reaction to some interesting news here. First piece is Anthony Pompliano strikes deal, raising over $750 million to create Bitcoin treasury firm. This is by the block. I think that's good for Anthony Pompliano. I have been following his podcast, some pretty interesting stuff. And of course, I've been following him as well since 2019. And that really got me started on my crypto journey here. A lot about Bitcoin, a lot of social stuff. Very interesting podcasts, and very interesting things that he has to say about quite a bit of things in life. So definitely check him out if you guys don't know who that is, but definitely good for him. All right, next one is going to be by Cointelegraph. Bitcoin supply is shrinking while sailors' relentless Bitcoin buying cause a supply shock. Well, Bitcoin supply is always shrinking, in my opinion, because first of all, there's not going to be any Bitcoin left once once it stops printing, right? There's only a limited supply of Bitcoin. And as we have seen, the market has been buying it up. If you don't believe me, just look at the monthly time frame. It has been just going up, and that means that demand is bigger than supply on the higher time frame. All right, next one, it's going to be by Cointelegraph. Missiles fly, yet Bitcoin holds, revealing Bitcoin strength in global chaos. Yeah, the war sounds terrible that's happening right now with the Middle East. I know that there is a possibility that's going to put inflationary pressure on gas prices, and that's not going to be good for the Fed if we're looking for a rate cut, right? But something interesting, however, that I've observed just today is based on the CME watch tool. I am seeing the probability of a rate cut has increased from July to September. Okay, July I'm actually seeing a rate cut possibility of above 10%. Last time I looked was lower than that. For September, I am actually seeing a probability of a rate cut of over 80% now, versus about 60% range just a couple of days ago. So something interesting is happening in the markets. Do you guys know what that is? And if you guys do, please let us know in the comment section below what you guys think. All right, next one is going to be by Today Q News. Young investors favor Bitcoin over gold, says the VIR survey. I'm not sure about other younger investors, but for me personally, trying to buy gold sounds like a pain in the ass versus just logging into a exchange and buying Bitcoin. Some of you guys may argue that the Bitcoin is not yours until you actually provide custody over it yourself, right? But it's still a lot easier to buy coin and to buy the coin, and it's definitely a lot more fun to trade. So unless you're someone really conservative, and doesn't really have the tolerance to trade crypto, I do think that Bitcoin is the way to go over gold. All right, let's go ahead. So I just want to let you guys know that I'm pulling these news articles from TradingView. And if you guys don't have TradingView and you guys are newbies trying to learn how to trade this market, I highly recommend you guys get TradingView. If you guys don't get TradingView and try to trade this market, that is basically walking blind in this market. I mean, you could use some exchange charts, but I mean, they're just not going to have the indicators that or resources or resources that TradingView will provide you. They have plans for under $20. If you guys use my affiliate link in the description section below, I will get a commission, and that supports my channel. And thank you very much. Let's go on to the charts here. All right, so we are seeing things to bounce back right now. We are going to talk about altcoins later in this video, but Bitcoin first, because whenever I trade altcoins, I always keep the Bitcoin chart in mind first, because that is the driver of this market. All right, Bitcoin right now, since yesterday, okay, that dip down to 98,000, okay. What are we seeing here? Okay, on this daily time frame, there is a falling wedge pattern that has formed. Okay, falling wedges typically break to the upside. In this case, if it breaks out here, it's going to be about 119k Bitcoin. Okay, and I talked about a leverage position I opened yesterday because the idea was Bitcoin touchdown to the 3-day 21 SMA. Okay, here you go. Which is currently at about 103,000 almost. Okay, and plus, I am seeing this reversal pattern, this falling wedge. So that looks pretty bullish to me right now. Okay, could it bottom? I mean, I think I see a couple of signals that tells me it is more likely that this is a bottom, right? Or at least for now, right? One of which, of course, the falling wedge. Secondly, it's going to be the 3-day 21 SMA. We still have yet to close below it. And even if we have, I'm looking for a solid candle close below it to really say that we have broke down from that moving average. But, price action has actually gotten some pretty good bounces off the 3-day 21 SMA. Don't just take my word for it. You guys can back test it and see. One of which is back in December 29th. And when price action went down to it, it has actually gotten a pretty good bounce. All right, another indicator I want to show you guys is on the lower time frames. Let's take a look on the 6-hour time frame here, just for example. If you actually see the bounce that we actually got here, since we dipped down to about 98,000, looking at the RSI, that was actually a very strong bounce. What is this going to tell me? This tells me if the bears were to push this price down and form a double bottom or even a slightly lower bottom, it's going to be pretty unlikely. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's looking less likely that it's going to beat this last RSI reading at about 30. What that tells me is that if this price action was to make an equal or lower low on this chart here, comparing to this low here, chances are we're going to get bullish divergence and get another bounce. Okay, now these are only my opinions and speculations, of course. None of what I'm saying here is financial advice. Please do your own due diligence, but that is what I'm seeing on this chart. And this would affect the altcoins because if it continues dumping, that's not going to be good. Let's also take a look into the stock market. Why is the stock market important? Because it's highly correlated with Bitcoin. Okay, stock market right now on the daily time frame, it is still above its daily moving averages, which is good because they're still going to be acting as support if the price action touches down on those moving averages again. Okay. Right now, it is still trying to bounce off this daily 21 SMA at about just right underneath 6,000 here. So very important for the stock market not to dump as well, because that could trigger a dump for Bitcoin and the altcoins. Just something to be throwing out there. Let's go ahead and take a look into some altcoins here. We're gonna take a look into HBAR first. Okay, I know you guys are here for the altcoins, but Bitcoin's very important. All right, HBAR currently trading at about just right above 13 cents here. What am I seeing for HBAR? Let's come over here to the weekly time frame. Weekly time frame. There was a hang on. I'm waiting for TradingView to load. All right, it's taking a little longer than usual today, so just bear with me here. But I can basically give you the details right now. This is going to be a falling wedge pattern. Okay, broke out of this pattern. Quite a few weeks ago. Price target for this pattern is going to be about 36 cents for HBAR. So can HBAR get to $1 this bull cycle? It's got a lot of resistance to get over, right? And HBAR is not particularly a smaller altcoin here. So you're looking for it to do a 7 or 8x here if you wanted to get over to $1. It's possible, right? I do think that we still have a very strong bull cycle ahead of us just by looking at the monthly RSI for Bitcoin and comparing to previous bull cycles. We are nowhere near a FOMO RSI reading, so there's definitely room to go here, but quite a bit of resistance for HBAR to get over. And the first one here is seeing if it could actually reach its price target out of the smaller pattern here for 36 cents. Okay. What would I do if HBAR does reach that price target? Because price targets are estimates only, and it could be more, it could be less. If it actually reaches that price target, I would come back down here to chart what's happening in the consolidation and see if I can get any new price targets based on that new consolidation pattern. Okay. Now let's come down to the smaller time frame, daily time frame, where there is also another falling wedge pattern, which is going to be a very common pattern you guys will see throughout these charts if you guys actually learn how to chart. Falling wedge pattern, price target 20 cents. So still quite a bit of a move here that could be in store for HBAR. And these patterns tend to break to the upside. Of course, there's still a chance it breaks down. Let's come over here to Keeta, KTA, USD, see what's going on in this market. Talked about it a couple of days ago. Could there be a rebound for Keeta here? I talked about a falling wedge pattern. I'm waiting for the chart to load, right? It's still running within this pattern, so nothing new has really happened with Keeta. Price target, if it breaks out by this point, it's going to be still about $1.35, which is still a pretty big move for a coin with a pretty big market cap. Okay. Now let's take a look into the weekly time frame, because I think last time I talked about the weekly time frame and why that's important, because on this weekly time frame here, very important to see a higher low. So that means I want to see Keeta to close above 40 cents, right? That would be a higher low on this weekly time frame. Why is seeing a higher low important? Because that is basically an uptrend trajectory, right? In an uptrend trajectory, if you want to see a higher high, you want to see the market hold a higher low first. All right, so that's basically just a very quick follow-up for Keeta. Let's take a look into Litecoin. see what's going on in this market here. Now, let's see here. Litecoin. I'm going to wait for the chart to load here real quick. All right. LTC, USD. What is going on in this market? Trading about $80 right now. And I'm going to move this measure move down along this upper trend line because it does not look like it's going to happen this week. So it is still running within a huge falling wedge pattern on this weekly time frame. Broke out of this smaller falling wedge pattern. You can probably see more clearly on a lower time frame. Price target is going to be about 123, just right above $120. Okay, still valid breakouts. Let's take a look into a smaller time frame for more clarity. 4-hour time frame running within this smaller falling wedge pattern here. Price target out of this falling wedge pattern. All right, I'm gonna wait for the trend line to show up. Trading view is lagging a little bit today. Okay. Smaller falling wedge pattern. Let's just say if it breaks out by this point, and if it does not break down, then a possible breakout of this pattern would give Litecoin just right above $100 here for Litecoin for this 4-hour time frame falling wedge. Now, this basically wraps it up for this video today. Let me know if you guys want to see any other altcoins in this market. I will pick one request to do for you guys on a daily basis. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys on the next one.